We now shop online, date online, and have entertainment in abundance at our fingertips. We have and are witnessing a very real seismic shift and secular advancement in the business of tech paired with convenience. The companies that have had the will to act and have executed on these changes have thrived. Companies like Amazon, the Match Group, Netflix, and Spotify. In light of all these changes, a new sector has emerged, and this is the online food delivery market. You may have noticed an upsurge in companies operating in the space such as Skipthedishes, DoorDash, Uber Eats, and Grubhub, and you may have participated in using their services. This market is growing quite rapidly and has a ton of potentials. Data shows transactions in quantity and gross dollar volume are rising quite substantially. As you can see, we've seen 20+% growth year over year, with estimations of that continuing. And by 2022, this market is expected to be worth nearly $60 billion. This market has been creatively referred to as the virtual food court. As this industry is expected to grow, it only means that restaurants are ripe for disruption. An article in Bloomberg said, over the next 5 to 10 years, nothing will be more decisive than online food delivery and sorting out winners and losers in the dining sector. 10 years ago, the companies that took initiatives to grow and invest in e-commerce saw their long-term plans come to fruition. And there have been some who have chose not to adapt, and we all know what's happened to them. In the food industry, we are seeing somewhat of a similar change. As Mark Twain would put it, history doesn't repeat itself, but it does rhyme. Oddly enough, the penetration rates for online delivery as a portion of restaurant sales is vastly similar to the rates of e-commerce as a portion of retail approximately 10 years ago or so. 3.7% of restaurant sales are done via online mobile delivery, and 10 or so years ago, 3.7% of all retail was done via e-commerce. And what happened with the retail shopping landscape changed us forever. In many ways, this industry is seen as attractive for restaurants because the influx in order volumes leverages a restaurant's fixed costs. Fixed costs such as rent and equipment tend to be the same price no matter how busy or how many dishes a kitchen prepared. By serving their regular guests in-house and a market of consumers that do not step in, costs on a per order basis are brought down. And this tends to offset the loss in margins they experience for giving the food delivery company a cut of the sales. Similar to how these food companies work very closely with restaurants in order to deliver the ultimate experience, Stock Sharks works very closely with our friends over at Elevate Investments, who specialize in stock market and business research, as well as content creation and animation. If you like this kind of content, give their channel a visit and a subscribe, as it does support their movement. The initial point of curiosity, or the assumption many had, was that this would take away from the restaurant dining experience. However, I think this is misguided, because they offer totally different experiences. A candlelit dinner is not a substitution for kicking back and spending the night in with your favorite dish and maybe your favorite TV show. And data shows that 80% of all deliveries goes to the person's place of residence. This industry, if anything, is more about providing options to those who are choosing to spend the night in. Whereas someone in the past would have to go and pick up their food that was for takeout, or they predominantly had pizza as a choice of delivery, now the game has changed. And competition is intensifying. All these businesses are undergoing a lot of expenditures on advertising and undergoing promotions to try and get people to use the experience. Which makes sense, as roughly 80% of users stick to the app they used for the first time. Retaining the consumer is a very important feat going forward. However, there's still substantial room in the engine for this industry to run. About 80% of American restaurants don't offer delivery, and the ones that do, 2/3 of them do it offline, meaning traditional phone calls and pen and paper. Next time, we're going to go over company-specific features and initiate analysis on Grubhub, who is the market leader in this space. We want to thank you guys for listening, and once again, happy investing.